What's going on? Jeb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto. Guys, we are going to be discussing Bitcoin's drop today. As you know, Bitcoin dropped down into the 41,000s overnight, and you might be thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so tired of Bitcoin dropping. We've been going down since early November. I'm ready for the bottom, dang it. I want to buy some Bitcoin. Well, guess what? If you're planning on buying some Bitcoin, you're in good company because Binance just bought 43,000 Bitcoin worth about $1.8 billion. That is a massive deal. And we are going to be talking about in this stream whether or not it is a good idea to go ahead and follow the whale's lead. Hint, hint, normally it is, and buy this dip or not. We're also going to be looking at about 3 or 4 years of price action data and history on Cardano because there is a very strong level of support that we found back in early 2018 that Cardano is sitting above right now. Could now be the time to be purchasing more ADA? I certainly hope so, because if it is, I'm gonna buy some and I'll let you guys know about it. But I also want to let you know about all the wonderful people we have in studio today. The first one I want to introduce is none other than Mr. T.A. Tim himself. How you doing, Tim?
How about that lamp behind you?
I know, lamp.
I love lamp.
Lamp. Oh, that was a meme right there.
I love lamp.
Wonder who got that one. I love lamp too.
I love lamp.
I love lamp. Yeah, no, it's a good lamp. It's
no
good lamp.
couch.
They stole it from my office. You know, I actually use that to read in my office.
That's what I'm excited. What I'm most excited about is no couch.
No lounging, just productivity.
That's true. That's true.
To illuminate the path to bullish action is what that is.
Ooh, I like that.
Yes.
Look at that. Illuminate the path to bullish action. Well, let me illuminate the path to someone I'm very bullish on, Smay.
Hi everybody, I'm pretty bullish on Smay too. And I would like to, and I'm bullish on Jeb, sorry. That would have been a better thing to say. I sounded a little conceited. But I will say, guys, I just love, the lamp is great, and yes, truth be told, we did steal it from Jeb's office. Me and Tim, like little rats, scurried around and grabbed things.
You guys have ski masks on and you walk like this into my office and steal my lamp?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, you did? Okay.
Literally, actually, funny you say that. It's exactly how we did it.
Oh, okay.
But
okay.
I just want to take a moment. I want to take a moment. Today is the HODL Trophy win. So what the tradition I want to start doing on Fridays is I want to start shouting out all the grandmasters whose names are on the trophy. So Jeb, without further ado, would you like to read the names on the trophy?
I would love to do that because I won the HODL Trophy. I told you guys I was very happy to have the lowest prediction on Tuesday.
Is this why we actually put the lamp in place so we could have a spotlight directly on the HODL Trophy?
That's exactly.
Yes, it's exactly.
Boom, that's smart right there. All right, shout out to our grandmasters, Adam Rourke, Matt C., Tommy Lou, Edward Hess, Rick4962, also known as Yard Dog, Daniel Walton, I almost read that as Denzel Washington, I'm sorry. Daniel Walton, Screwhead, and Dennis Pizarka. Dennis, I love saying your name. It is one of the most fun names to say. It makes an interesting sound. I like the name Pizarka. You should be very proud of that name. But I'm also joined as always by Kelly. Oh, and by the way, thank you so much to our Grandmasters. Thank you so much to all of our members. I almost forgot to say that. I thought that was implied. Thank you guys so much to our members, and thank you guys so much for the HODL Trophy. I'm very excited to have it on our desk.
What do we have for our members, Jeb, on the 13th?
We have a live Q&A right after this stream on the 13th. So if you are a member of the Jedi Knights, if you're not, you can hit that join button right below the like button, which you should also hit. You're going to be getting access to a live Q&A where we will all be there to answer all of your questions. Literally nothing is off the table, at least in my book. So you guys, it's going to be a lot of fun. But I'm also joined as always by Kelly. How you doing, Kelly?
I'm doing excellent. I'm a little winded. I had for those of you that don't know, I do a Twitter Spaces every Thursday, and last night T.A. Tim hopped in with me, and we
I follow that guy.
We had almost, it felt like a marathon. We meant to go for an hour. We ended up going for almost 2.5 hours. We had Plan C show up. Dan from Crypto Capital Venture came.
Shout out to Crypto Capital Venture. Go subscribe.
Plan C, Matthew Highland, a bunch of great on-chain analysts, and we'll actually be releasing the audio from that soon, so you can check on my Twitter for that. And it was just excellent time, and there's just so much excitement in the market right now, especially with the whales buying at this level. Are we building that spring? I guess we'll find out.
We shall find out. Well, T-Shroom, we don't have much time left with either one of you because you're both about to head out, but T-Shroom, how are you doing, my friend? And how are you preparing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing a lot of push-ups for this vacation coming up.
Oh, wow.
Just to train.
What kind of vacation do you need to do push-ups for?
Well, maybe we could...
I think you need to say
So we actually, 2 days ago, told the members in that members live where he was going. So do we want to tell them today, or do we want to do it
I think we
I think it's a like goal. I think it's a like goal. If we hit 1,500 likes by the end of this stream, maybe we'll tell them. What do you
It's
think
a
about
pretty,
that?
it's a pretty good thing for to share, and so we
Yeah.
hope that we can. So guys, smash up that like.
Smash
We
the
don't
like.
want it for our egos. It just helps us be able to bring you all this content on a regular basis.
Yep.
But
So-
what I will say is the only other thing that's more exciting to me than my vacation
I was being next to me. Oh,
is Smay's luscious hair that has come out to play
His
today.
hair is beautiful.
It's so.
Can we get a 1 in chat for Smay's hair?
you gotta do
Let's go,
you
dude.
gotta do a slow motion hair.
Yeah, you gotta do the
Well, I
slow
can't
motion.
hair
do
flip.
some. Okay,
You
slow
gotta do a
motion.
Tresemme.
Come on, let's see it.
All right,
Come
all
on.
Tresemme.
Just do a hair flip.
Ooh, man, that's looks good.
You're ready for the skate park with that hair.
All right, all
That
right,
was
all
too
right.
much.
This is a
That was
crypto
too
show.
much.
Let's remember what we are here, guys. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and smash that post notification bell. We're trying to bring you high quality coverage and informational content about cryptocurrency markets, while we're also trying to teach you how to work in cryptocurrency markets, and would like to have a little fun while we're going at the same time. Let's go ahead and jump straight on to CoinMarketCap. I don't think there's anything that's going to be better in today's show than what Smay just did with his hair, but we shall try and find out if there are some bigger gainers in the market than his luscious locks. Let's go ahead and take a look here at Bitcoin. Is trading at $41,700. A lot of people are freaking out. If you're freaking out, this is the show for you, because we're not going to try and lie to you and say, hey, the market looks ridiculously bullish right now. Although there are a lot of bullish things, we're going to be honest with you, but we're also going to make sure that you don't, freak out and FUD out. We're not trying to spread FUD here, guys. We want to make sure that you're comfortable and confident in the future of Bitcoin, which you very much should be. With that being said, though, Bitcoin is down 3% in the last 24 hours, down 13% in the last 7 days. Ethereum's down 6% in the last 24 hours, down 16% in the last 7 days. Some pretty big drops coming in here. I'll be honest, I was hoping that Bitcoin would hold up where it was at $46,000, $47,000. Tim talked about it perfectly. He said, hey, we might go down to $42,000 to $45,000. That's what has happened. And, one of the things we teach in the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy is that the more times you test a level of support or resistance, in this case, it was about $3,600 for Ethereum, or excuse me, it was a little higher than that. It was closer to $3,800 for Ethereum. It was about $47,000 for Bitcoin. The more and more you test those levels, the more likely it is that they're going to break. It's like if you have a boss and you're playing a video game, and it has a certain number of hit points. If you hit it once, okay, it's still got 90% left. You hit it again, it's got 80% left. If you hit it 11 times, then it has negative 10% left. It's done for, it's broken. That's kind of what support and resistance is like. It's like it has a health bar. And the more and more times you touch it, the more times you attack it, the weaker it gets. And that's what we saw happen. Bitcoin and Ethereum dropped. Now, Binance Coin's also down below 500. Solana's down here around 140. We're not going to have time to talk about Solana today, but I will just briefly mention Solana. In yesterday's video, I told you guys it'll probably break below $150 and it'll probably drop down to $130. That may be a decent buying zone. That being said, Solana is up here worth $40 billion, so it could go lower. But I do think that around 130 to 150 is a decent accumulation phase, a decent accumulation area. I do think that you'll be able to get a better deal potentially, though, if this Bitcoin and Ethereum drop drags out. Terra Luna's down 3%. Polkadot jumped up into the top 10 because Avalanche dropped below it. Avalanche is down here right around right around $4. And by the way, shout out to Polkadot's rebrand. I just noticed this. This is a brand new logo right there. Shout out to the DOT team over there. Great project. I hold DOT. I think it is a wonderful project. And if you don't have it, you should definitely look into it. It is the leader in interoperability. Now, we're also going to look at Cosmos here in a second, but it is up 16% today. I know a lot of you guys are going to say, Jeb, Cosmos is up 16%. Is it what I should buy? Should I use that to get out of the loss that I'm in right now? Hold your horses. We're going to talk about that. If we look at the biggest gainers, we can see Gala is down 10%. Now, this might be one you want to buy on a dip. I do think Gala is going to be extremely successful this year. Sandbox is down by 9%. I would say that this is getting into good deal territory, but the problem with all the metaverse projects is that October 26th or whenever it was that Facebook announced that they'd be rebranding to Meta. All of the metaverse projects jumped 500%, 600%, 700% for no fundamental reason. They did it purely based off of marketing, branding, and hype. So I do think the metaverse projects are overextended right now. So it might be tempting to buy the dip on that. I personally wouldn't. You do what you want to do, but I do think Gala is getting into good buying opportunities, and we might look at that in a future stream. But let's go ahead and jump on over to the chart here, and let's take a look at Cosmos. I know we have a lot of fans of Adam in the chat here, and I want to look at it mainly because it has had a very bullish 24 hours, as opposed to everything else in crypto that has had a remarkably bearish 24 hours. In fact, Cosmos has been doing so well that it's pushing new all-time highs as we speak. I can go ahead and put a a horizontal line right here around $44. This is the same level that Cosmos has touched at least 3 times in the past, once here on the 20th of September, once here on the 25th of September, and then once here on the 27th of October. We've also tested this level just a couple of times in just the last couple of days, and if we look at the 4-hourly chart, you can see we rallied all the way up to it, rejected, and now we're pushing back up to it again. In fact, one of the first things that jumps out at me is an uptrend right there, connecting this high right here on Christmas, and then this bottom right here on the 2nd of January, and then this bottom right here on the 5th of January. What we're doing right now, by the way, guys, is called 2-minute technicals. I try not to pre-analyze these markets that much because I want to show you guys my method of going through these markets in the moment. So I'm literally showing you how I'm doing my technical analysis. Now, what I want to do also here on Atom is I want to run straight through some of its technical indicators. One of the things I like to look for is bullish or bearish RSI divergence. I don't see any major bullish or bearish RSI divergence on this chart. You might make an argument that this is bearish RSI divergence right here. Personally, that's a little too low resolution for me to put a lot of stock in it, but theoretically there is bearish RSI divergence showing up on the daily chart right now. Looking out to the longer term time frames, you can see that there's going to be some bullish RSI divergence right there and right there. And if you want to use a more recent low, then you could even put it right here, and the bearish RSI divergence shows up even more. So what's my take on Atom? I think contingent on its fundamentals, it probably will see a correction for a little bit. It may pull back down here into the mid 30s just because the rest of the cryptocurrency market isn't doing that well. But I do think you're going to see a major breakout and an all-time high run relatively soon on that, probably in the next 3 to 4 months. Again, contingent on its fundamentals. Tim, do you want to weigh in on
so
that?
Earlier this week, when one of the days you were out, Jeb, we did AMP TA, and one of the things that we noticed, and I see that you have
AMP?
we did AMP, or sorry, not AMP, Atom.
Atom, okay.
And I don't know why I said AMP. I think we did AMP too.
We did. We talked about AMP yesterday. That's
on
why.
Atom, you're looking right now at the ascending triangle. So we had that flat top. I do think we're going to break through, but if you zoom out a little bit farther, we're in a rising wedge that we're very early in. We're nowhere close to that 70% mark. What I discussed, if you have that rising level of support that I anchored as far back as, just to keep it simple, I use an extended line, but just do it back to the 15th of March of 2020, yep. Right? So we've been kind of riding that very early, long time ascending wedge. I think that there's a potential that we resist on this one more time because, as you said, it's hard to see, but it does look on some of the bigger time frames. We're setting up some bearish RSI divergence.
Yep.
Come back down, test that level of support one more time, setting another higher low before we break through that flat level resistance, and then we go very, very high. I think it's not unreasonable to think we're getting closer to $100 before we see a more significant dip in price.
Might do it, yeah. And also, one thing to keep in mind, also, guys, is if we have said also twice there, if we have a newer, higher high happen here in the next couple of days, then there could theoretically be some pretty large bearish RSI divergence showing up here based on highs back in August. So just keep an eye on your RSI divergences, keep an eye on your oscillators and the like, and then you should be fine. But let's go ahead and take a look at Cardano because we have something very interesting to show you guys on Cardano. It's funny, we always say when in doubt, zoom out, and sometimes we need to remind ourselves of that. And sometimes you also need to say when in doubt, check a different chart, because the chart that I normally use for Cardano is over here on Bittrex. But if you go back on another chart, I believe is it Coinbase that goes all that way back? I don't think it is. I think it's no, it's not Coinbase. They got listed last year.
Yeah,
is it Kraken? Kelly, can you help me out? It is Kraken. It's Kraken. That's the one that goes really far back. Kraken's a very old exchange. If you look back on Kraken, you'll see that there actually was an all-time high run to $1 back in at the end of the hype cycle in 2017. This is right when Cardano was getting built in the very first place. This was way back in the day. Like, guys, I don't even remember seeing Cardano back then. I didn't learn about Cardano until 2018. I was in the space back here. But the point is, it set an all-time high right up here on the candle bodies at $1.22. Well, guess where we are right now? We're at $1.22. It's this same level. So for the last 2 months, I've been saying that if we pull back to $1 to $1.20, this is a prime buying territory. I bought up here at $1.63. I also bought down here at $1.19, $1.20, $1.21, something like that about 2-3 weeks ago. And if we stay down here at $1.22, I'm probably going to rotate some of my profits out of Bitcoin and Ethereum straight into Cardano. And the reason I'm going to do it is because Cardano is sitting atop very strong support. On top of that, if you look at the history of Bitcoin, what you normally see is that, and this isn't just for Bitcoin, guys, you can check a lot of different charts. What they normally do is that they'll set previous resistance as a new support. That's kind of what we saw happen with Bitcoin here. We set on November 25th, 2013, that's a long time ago for Bitcoin, isn't it? $1,200 all-time high. We tested as resistance, we came back up, back tested for support, and then we blasted off and we used the previous all-time high as support. We did the same thing in a similar fashion back here at $20,000. It's hard to see here on the longer term time frames, but we back tested during like 1 day worth of price action, and then we blast it off, and that may be what we're seeing happen on Cardano right now. So the point is, Cardano may be entering a very strong buying opportunity sooner than you might think. I do think these are good levels to accumulate at. I've talked about on many shows and on many occasions why I believe Cardano is such a strong project. But with that said, let's go ahead and jump straight into our discussion with the community. I'm sure we have some super chats to read.
Oh, yeah, we definitely have some. I saw one that just popped up that I thought was really interesting. But you know what? Actually, I'm going to hold that off for just a little bit. It might be actually more interesting to discuss that one when we get closer to Ethereum, because it is all about Ethereum and Bitcoin. Eric Liddell gave saying, please look into this PulseX sacrifice thing. It seems very BitConnect to me, and a lot of people are FOMOing into it.
That's the second time we've heard about that, so we will look into that, because if it's a Ponzi scheme, we want to tell you.
Yeah, no, that would be horrible. We want to definitely warn you guys on that one. Striker2099 said, did you end up looking into Doc? If so, what is your opinion on the project? Could they take out VeChain?
Doc?
Doc, yeah.
I have not looked into it at this point.
Yeah, no. Unfortunately, there's so many projects we want to look into, but between keeping ourselves updated on the ones that the expanded list that we already have, and learning new ones and staying updated on all that, that's
and also the other thing, guys, and I've talked about this many times, everyone should have a philosophy that they trade and invest with. My philosophy is go narrow, get good. That's what I've been trying to do on this YouTube channel for the last 4 years. If you'll notice, the identity of this channel has never once moved away from technical analysis on large cap altcoins and cryptocurrencies. That has been the identity of this channel for 5 years. So 4.5 years. So the point I'm making with that is that I have a philosophy that this is the way I'm going to do things. And my philosophy, and by the way, that's how you become successful. You have to be focused. It's incredibly important that you become focused. Use a magnifying glass and then point it at an ant. That ant is fine. If the magnifying glass isn't there, you focus that light and the ant catches on fire, right? That's what focus will do. It magnifies and amplifies the little power that you may have so that you're much more powerful in the area that you choose to be. My philosophy in cryptocurrency has always been, instead of trying to trade 100 million different altcoins, pick 5 to 10. For most of my career, it was actually like 4 or 3, and then invest in those. And that's been my philosophy. So when I say, hey, I'm not sure about that project, I'm not sure about that project, it's not that they're bad projects, and it's not that I don't want to look into them. It's just that my philosophy is to be very focused, because that's what's always brought me success personally.
I do have one thing to say about it, though, because he has asked a few times about this project, and even just looking at it briefly, I can say the question was, will it be something that competes with VeChain? And I will say, just from like a very snapshot look at this, it seems to be two entirely different fields. VeChain is a lot more about logistics management, and this is a lot more about credentialing identity, which essentially two different sort of niches that they work in. But at the end of the day, if it's a project you're interested in, as he said, it's not that whether or not we're interested in it or not is irrelevant. If you're interested in it, look into the project, figure it out, and understand it. And you can ask us, and if we don't know, that's okay. Just do a little more homework, and if you feel comfortable with it, invest in it and scale in as the project builds and develops.
Yep, absolutely. Good deal.
Michael Clemens said, hey guys, you guys love your RSI divergence. Check out daily Bitcoin bullish RSI divergence forming at Kelly's support level.
Daily Bitcoin RSI divergence. So you talking bullish or bearish? What is it?
He said
Kelly,
bullish.
do you know what he's talking about?
He said bullish.
Is that bullish?
I think it's actually will be included in a little bit when we do the on-chain stuff, because I actually have a snapshot directly of that. I mean, you could pull it up now if you wanted, but there's
I'll pull it up later.
There's a direct comparison between what's going on in May and now, and then there is massive bullish.
You have your own support line now?
Hey.
Is that like
you have your own line of support apparel?
Is that like getting your own comet named after you or something?
Your own comet?
It's a K-line.
You can buy that.
Support.
There's a service out there that lets you name a star. I don't know what jurisdiction they have to let you name a star, but apparently you can name a star, so that's great. Well, guys, let's actually no, we have a couple more minutes for a couple more.
So I want to take Murray Ruggiero. I'm going to wait on yours because I think it's going to be really important when we get a little bit closer to Ethereum. So don't think that we skipped you or forgot you. Crypto Sam said, you worried about ETH weekly chart oscillator? So that one is about ETH too, but we can answer that now, or do you want to talk about that later?
What was the question?
Are you worried about the ETH weekly chart and the oscillators on it?
We'll look at that when we get to Ethereum.
So I'm Crypto Sam. I'm going to save that one for later.
Yeah.
I didn't proofread that one ahead before I got there. Let me see here. Hussein said, why can't the Bulls do what the Bears do and liquidate all the short outs?
Why can't the
Shorts
Bulls
out.
do what the Bears do and liquidate all the short outs?
The shorts out. So like pretty much, so the way that we've been longing, the way
Sure.
the bulls have longed,
Sure.
and then the bears can liquidate it out.
It's very simple. The whales don't want to. The whales want the price to go down so they can buy low because they know what the future holds. They know Bitcoin's going to go to $1 million, and that's why they're buying all this money. I just saw what Smay did. Yes, definitely. Like the video, guys. The whales right now are buying, and that's one of the things we're going to talk about in a second, but a lot of them are not buying on exchange for two reasons. One, try buying $43,000 Bitcoin on exchange. You're going to completely, there's not enough supply on any exchange to do that and not completely wipe out the order books. Two, they're buying over the counter because they don't want to have to deal with paying more and more and more and more and more. They want to get it all at one price. So the whales want to buy Bitcoin, but they're buying Bitcoin off exchange to accumulate and not move the price so that it can keep going down. But when they sell, they do sell on exchange to provide selling pressure. But here's the deal. When we actually do find the bottom and the whales know, okay, the retail market is not going to let us go any lower, and we don't know exactly where that is, we think it's close. Once they find that, then they will start buying the market on exchange to pump the price, and we will see the market move to the upside. Let me ask you this. Binance just bought 43,000 Bitcoin. A bunch of other major whale wallets that have tens of thousands of Bitcoin just bought literally hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin cumulatively. We've seen probably a grand total of about $4 billion in buys on whale wallet Bitcoin over the last 2 to 3 days. Don't you think those whales want the market to go up? Of course they do. But what they want to do first, and what we should do first, is buy the dip and accumulate so that we can make the most out of that rally once it starts. That's why the period that we're in right now is actually one of the most important times that you can be in for a Bitcoin uptrend. You know why? Because the uptrend hasn't started yet, and because you're here so early, you're going to be able to make the most out of it. So definitely make sure that you are paying close attention to the market for whenever you feel confident to buy the dip, because I do think that we're getting close to the bottom. With that said, let's go ahead and jump straight on into some Bitcoin technical analysis, guys. One of the first things I want to show you guys are the oscillators. As you can see here on the daily, we do have some bearish MACD expansion going on. This is basically just telling us that the bears are taking back the charge, they're taking back the power, and that we are moving to the downside. And by the way, guys, I don't want to, I don't want to misconstrue what I'm trying to say here. I'm not saying that I have the most confidence in the world at $40,000 and $42,000. We could very easily drop down to $37,000. I'm going to bring that back up in a second. I don't want to give you false hope that we have found the bottom. I'm not convinced at this moment that we have found the bottom. And Tim, I don't think you are either. Are you?
No, not quite.
Not quite. I think we're close.
There
but
are
I don't
arguments.
think we're there.
There are arguments, but it's not enough to be a certainty.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. Now, one of the things to show you is some RSI divergence. The RSI divergence here is very interesting because what we're looking at is that there is very flat support right here on our RSI, and then there's a downtrend right here, and this is a form of bullish RSI divergence. It's unconfirmed at the very moment. We do need to see a little bit more development here, but there is potentially bullish RSI divergence. There is potentially bullish RSI divergence. I'll just go with it forming. Now, if we look at the Bollinger Bands, we're also going to see two things very important here. Number one, the Bollinger Bands are providing support. We are riding the bottom of the Bollinger Bands. Take a look at the history of Bitcoin. Whenever you come down here to Bollinger Bands, you typically don't stay at them for very long. Typically, you correct away from them. That's just kind of the nature of the way the market moves, guys. And sometimes you don't. Sometimes you will ride them for a long period of time, but generally speaking, you're going to get away from them after a little while. And the other thing to point out on Bollinger Bands is that they are widening. Remember, about a week ago, we talked about how Bollinger Bands were in a phase of very narrow volatility, and when we started to see more volatility coming into the space and we saw the Bollinger Bands widen and expand, that's going to be a very bullish thing because it means that we're seeing volatility come back. Why is volatility so important? Well, I'll tell you, because when there's not volatility, it means that there's a deadlock. You don't want a deadlock. You want one faction to be in charge. You want either the bulls or the bears to be in charge, but when neither is in charge and there's a stalemate, that's when things get boring. If there's a downtrend, the retail's interested because they say, hey, one, I can short it and make some money, or two, hey, I can buy the dip and I'll get ready for the next rally, and so therefore you maintain the interest of the retail investor. But when it's stagnant, you don't. People get boring. People get bored. They say, okay, I'm gonna go look at altcoins. I'm gonna go look at real estate. I'm gonna go look at stocks. I'm gonna go look at precious metals. I'm gonna go do a million other things except for look at Bitcoin. So I don't want Bitcoin to be boring. I don't want it to have low volatility. Even if it's bearish, that is better than sideways movement in my opinion, at least from a market sentiment standpoint. With that said, also, we can look here at the VPVR. It's giving us some very interesting signals at the moment. Right now, we are starting to pull back down to one of the major areas of support on VPVR. Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think about a month ago, I think it was a month and a half ago, you see that big valley in between the peak at $48,000 on VPVR and then like around $37,000 on VPVR. There's this valley that we're sitting in right now. I think we talked about how if we're sitting up here, I think it was right around the beginning of December, we were sitting on top of this hill and we were saying, hey, we can roll down into this valley.
Yeah.
We can roll down into that valley. And I said, guys, $42,000 could be in the cards. We went and wicked down to it once. We could come back down there. And I think that's what we've seen happen now. The ball is rolled down into the valley. But the good news is, if the ball wants to roll any farther, it has to start rolling uphill. And you can't roll a ball uphill. You have to push a ball uphill. So I think that if Bitcoin is going to drop too much farther, we're going to need some strong pressure, some strong sell pressure. Where's that going to come from? It could come from retail FUD, or it could come from whales selling. The whales aren't selling. The whales are buying big time. And the retail, I think a lot of the retail anyway, is starting to look for a buying opportunity, because I think a lot of the weak hands that were going to get shaken out already got shaken out. And that's the really good thing about where we are right now, at least in my opinion. Now, another thing to point out here, guys, is that we are in a descending wedge, and this is a very interesting thing because it's a longer-term descending wedge, and it's actually, excuse me, I'm sorry, not descending wedge, descending triangle pattern. We have a descending triangle pattern right here with a downtrending level of resistance right here, flat level of support right here. But the reason that this is pretty funny is because we're actually in a longer-term ascending triangle pattern as well. So these two don't necessarily contradict each other, but we're definitely going to see some interesting action here around 41. As I talked about a couple days ago, we want to hold these levels and move to the upside and stay inside of our longer-term symmetrical triangle pattern, especially considering the level we're on right now was a previous all-time high literally a year to the day ago. But there is a reason to believe that we could break to the downside here. And by the way, this head and shoulders pattern theory that everybody has is still in play. I don't think it's going to push us that far down, but I could see it pushing us down to 35, 37, and we'll talk about those price targets here at the end of our Bitcoin segment. But let's go ahead and take a look here at Market Cipher. Market Cipher has some very interesting things going on as well. There's a lot of interesting things going on today, guys. Right now, the momentum is very bearish. Right now, the money flow is quite red. Right now, the RSIs are very low, and right now, the VWAP is below the zero level. Just want to get all the concerning news out of the way first. It's not something that I'm scared of, but it is something that I think you ought to be aware of. Now, one of the things I want to point out here is that Market Cipher has actually seen some of the lowest RSI levels that it has seen in a very long time. I know this is hard to see, but I'm going to point out all the times when the RSI lines, which are these lines right here, came down to this horizontal level. You see we're right here, right here. The RSI has not been this low in a very, very long time. And the reason that that's important is because it means that we have gotten very bearishly overextended. The reason that that's important is because if we're very overextended in the bearish camp, then that means that the bulls are eventually, probably relatively soon actually, going to have some momentum simply because the bears are going to have a hard time pushing the market any farther to the downside. That is a very good thing. Now let's also look at the 12-hourly chart here because things look maybe a little bit more up on that. It looks like we could be seeing a potential shift on the 12-hour chart for Market Cipher. We have seen momentum has dropped very far to the downside, negative 82. At some point here, it is going to bounce and rally, and it is going to curve around. How do I say that with confidence? Well, if you look at Market Cipher, what do the blue momentum waves, which are these right here, do? They very rarely move sideways. In fact, they're coded in such a way that they just simply don't. They are extremely unstable moving sideways. They're either moving up or they're moving down, but they don't move sideways. If you've noticed that, that is a very important part about them. That means that we are almost certainly going to see a little bit of upwards momentum. The question now is, do we see a little tiny movement or do we see a big movement like this? Well, that's what our analysis is trying to find out. But the point is, on the 12-hour chart, we're about to see a green dot. We're about to see a reversal. At least that's what it looks like. And that is going to be very bullish for Bitcoin. On top of that, the RSIs are down here at 5 and 6. That means that they are very overextended. It means the bears are very powerful. But when the bears get too powerful, they exhaust themselves. They outrun their supply lines. And then they're going to have to, catch up, and I think the bears may have pushed us a little bit farther than they were really able to sustain. But also the VWAP is pushing up to the zero line right here. That's very bullish. And then also the money flow is starting to round as well. All of those are good things. We don't have a buy setup yet on the 12-hourly chart Market Cipher, but it is coming, at least in my opinion. I think we are relatively close to it. Please do.
One of the things also within the art of technical analysis and reading all these different indicators is depending on whatever time frame you're on. If you're at the weekly, of course, you're not going to zoom all the way down to the minute because that's irrelevant. But if you're trading on a daily or doing some swing trades over a several week period, sometimes you want to see how smaller time frames will precipitate into the growing momentum shift of what's happening. So if you pull up on your chart, Jeb, you can see right now, or when I was doing the TA earlier this morning with Market Cipher, there was a massive green dot on the 12-hour, and it's basically it's basically right on this cusp of it happening or not. But if you go to the 4-hour, the 8-hour, the 10-hour, they all, at least on my chart on Coinbase, they're all green dot printing, and so. Essentially, what this is showing is, yes, there's a little bit of indecision here, but having the big green dot is obviously different than the smaller green dot because it shows that it's very similar to when you look at a Bollinger Band where it's very tight or very wide. The market oscillates, so and it happens cyclically. So if we're very tight on the Bollinger Band, you can expect an explosive move out of it. And similarly with momentum on Market Cipher, if the momentum is very far down, similar like on RSI where you're at the very, very oversold levels, then that provides a different level of strength of in terms of how strong the move is going to be going the other direction or how strong that signal is. So this sort of precipitating from the smaller time frames into the 12-hour, and then we'll see as the 12-hour precipitates into the daily, and then hopefully that will precipitate into the weekly. But at the end of the day, right now, we still are trading a bit sideways, but we are starting to see some sentimental shifts about not that the bottom's printing, but the bulls are fighting here, and we're getting these whalish buys. So whalish, the whalish buys, yeah.
It's it's Welsh. Get it right.
Bullish whale buys at these levels. So when you got multi-billion-dollar purchases at this level, I mean,
multi-billion-dollar purchases at this level.
But we're going to dive into that in a second. Let's continue on to the Lux.
Yeah, and to make the point of what we were talking about earlier with the RSIs, guys, I went into Market Cipher and I turned off everything but these RSI lines here, and I drew the line right here at 3.34 on RSI. If you have to go all the way back to this date, October 23rd, 2019, to see the RSIs this low on daily chart Market Cipher, that means that there's a very strong argument to be made that we're pretty close to the bottom. And if you guys have Market Cipher and you don't know how I did that, just go over here into Market Cipher B, Styles, and then turn off all the waves, VWAP, and money flow. And then also, if you need to like figure out which one's which, and then you don't really know how to read these and you want to read them individually, that's something else that you can do, is turn some of them off so that you're able to see a little bit more clearly. But let's go ahead and take a look at Lux Algo here. Lux Algo is obviously still going to be bearish. I turned off some of the indicators, so let me go ahead and turn these back on over in inputs, EQ Cloud, Reversal Zones, Trend Catcher, Boom Sauce. You guys know that's how I like to set up my Lux Algo. By the way, guys, if you haven't done it in the last couple of weeks, make sure to turn off Lux Algo by removing it and then bring it back up. I was on version 4.23. It's now at version. I'm putting O's in things today. I don't know why.
Are you Gru today?
I'm Groot. I am
Gru.
Oh, Gru. I am Gru. Yes, I'm going to steal the moon, and I'm going to shrink it, and it's going to be great. And I'm also going to shrink this indicator legend. Guys, right now, Lux Algo is giving us a sell signal. We've been in a sell signal for a while. Duh. So I'm not going to spend too much time on the daily chart. It is very, very clear, but I actually will mention something I mentioned yesterday. The trend catcher is continuing to push to the downside, sitting at 42, guys. That means that there is a decent chance that we could just have a V bottom here and bounce and rally and get above this trend catcher and just rally so fast because it wouldn't take much to start an actual uptrend with the trend catcher. So that's something to keep in mind on the daily chart. On the 4-hourly chart, it has been quite some time since we have seen a buy signal come in. Now, none of these buy signals, like literally all of the ones I'm circling here, none of these were confirmed buy signals, not a single one of them, because the trend catcher was not green and Lux Oscillator didn't back them up either. But the point is, we have not seen a strong or a normal buy signal in like a month and a half on the not a month and a half, in like since Christmas, about 2 weeks. Christmas was a great day. We had a buy signal. A lot of great things happened. It was Christmas, we all love Christmas. We have not seen a buy signal since. Another thing to mention is that we have pushed down into the 4-hourly chart reversal zones, which we have not done in a month, at least not that deep into them. We are very, very extended to the downside right now, guys, and the whales, in my opinion, are the bears, in my opinion, are quite a bit overextended, and I do think that they're going to have a hard time keeping us down. But with that said, let's go ahead and jump on over to Kelly's Twitter. He's got some very interesting stuff over here. What dip? Fine price dip, but metrics just keep getting more bullish. Let's take a look at some of these. Glassnode Bitcoin amount of hodled or lost coins just reached a 1-year high of 7.262 million Bitcoin. The previous high was roughly the same number observed yesterday or the day before yesterday, we have seen so much Bitcoin getting hodled. People have been accumulating up here for the last year. Think about how crazy that is. People have been accumulating at $40,000 to $60,000, and they've only accelerated their accumulation in the last 2 months. Look at this, guys. We plateaued our accumulation up there around all-time high, which makes sense. You know, people weren't going to try and buy the top and accumulate. But ever since we started moving to the downside, the accumulation has gone up. The number of people holding Bitcoin and hodling it has increased. And by the way, 7 million Bitcoin is almost 50% of total supply. The reason that that's a big deal is because it means almost the majority of Bitcoin is illiquid at this point. And obviously, we know if you pull liquidity off of the market, then that gives you a lower supply. The demand is going higher every single day, at least in the long-term perspective, and that is going to lead to increasing prices. So that's a very strong metric right there. This has moved up 200,000 or 300,000 Bitcoin in just the last 6 months. Another one over here, amount of supply last active in 1 to 3 months just reached a 4-month high of 1.7 million.
I gotta say, I found that one interesting because this speaks to also the changing sentiment and a little bit of the knowledge base of newer people that are adopting crypto. Also, people trading just on a regular basis. But the fact that people are buying and having these young coins, meaning they haven't been around long. And they're still choosing with this dip to increase the hodling ratio, which I find incredible because this would not have been the case 3 years ago. You have any dip, any newcomer drops immediately. And so this is great to see the sentiment and the knowledge base starting to shift. And it really alludes to a lot of strength coming in and where we can go from here.
And that's one of the great things about these on-chain metrics, guys. It actually shows you what the market is learning. It is a result of the way the market has been taught. And that's one of the things I like is that you can see we actually doubled the amount of supply last active in 1 to 3 months. That basically just means that people aren't moving Bitcoin. They're hodling it. That's a really important thing, and they're hodling it for a while. Now, Ethereum. Let's also look at Ethereum. This is a pretty big deal, too. Number of addresses holding more than 0.01 ETH just reached an all-time high, and it's always reaching an all-time high, of 20 million. This is a redonkulous metric right here, guys. It's crazy. The amount of adoption that has been going on Ethereum is insane. And the reason for this is because of all of the layer 2s that are being built on ETH. ETH has been an infrastructure for half a decade now. But now it's an infrastructure that people are actually using. You can build a $100 billion interstate system if you want, but if nobody's driving on it, then you just wasted your money. But because everybody is using it nowadays, it is worth $5 trillion to the U.S. economy, the interstate highway system. And if you were to remove that, it'd be a big problem, obviously. And the interstate highway system is worth all that money because of what it allows for. It allows for the growth in the U.S. economy, the likes of which would not be possible without it. And the same thing is true for ETH. ETH's amazing job at laying a strong foundation and providing a framework for how all other layer 1s would work and improve upon is its biggest contribution to this space. Now, we also see a little bit of bullish RSI divergence going on here. Can you explain this to us just a little bit, Kelly?
Yeah, absolutely. Essentially, what this is, and I saw this printed out on this at Dr. Baggins on Twitter, and I thought it was so perfect because we discussed this the other day in the sense of how this fractal is playing out currently with this dip. It's very reminiscent, if we want to use that word, of like the May to June, July dip. In that how the structure of this stone stepping reaccumulation or Wyckoff reaccumulation likely is playing out, because it's just, even looking at it just from a visual reference point, it's playing out very similarly. And you can see on the top row and the bottom row. The top row is the May through June, July dip, and the bottom row is the current setup we're in now, where you have this bullish RSI divergence over the longer period of the daily candles, and then the last sort of 4-hour breakdown over the last final dip that we've been in right now, breaking past that support line at 45K down to 42, now even going down, doing that final little washout down to 41, which still could go to 39. We're not ruling that out, but we're having bullish RSI divergence on the daily period across this whole time frame, as well as an additional bullish RSI divergence in the smaller term final dip. So things are playing out, and if we look historically at the trends and price and how things play out similarly similarly in the past, then you can deduce from that we have a very likely upside. And it's not like we don't have a ton of other bullish metrics that make us say that. So anybody calling us moon boys, we're not. We're people that read the data, and we're showing you what the data shows us. But at the same time, we're all planning for a downside action too if that comes. So the data is just saying it's more likely to go up. So that's what we're illustrating.
It absolutely is, guys. And here's another reason why I think the market's going to go up. Let's take a look at this article. Taking advantage of the dip, top Bitcoin addresses add 6,335 Bitcoin, while Binance scoops up 43,000 Bitcoin. You heard that right, folks. It's not $43,000, it's 43,000 Bitcoin, which at the current market price comes to about $1.8 billion. That's with a B. That's a huge number. That is, just for context, they just bought, essentially, what would that be? About 0.25% of the entire Bitcoin market capitalization in one purchase. That's a crazy amount of Bitcoin that they just purchased. Ridiculous. Bitcoin fell to 43,000, but after it fell to 43,000, Binance added 43,000 Bitcoin onto its market. What's up?
I was going to say, the interesting thing is, I think the average price, which is actually interesting for where we're at now, their average price purchase was around 46,000.
46 and a half,
which actually brings it up to about almost right at about $2 billion. It's like 1.99.
Exactly.
It's just, when you see a buy, when we have a dip like this, and the average price is even above where we're at now, when institutions have that much big money into something, it makes them only want to buy a further dip more because it's going to strengthen their position.
They're going to lean into it.
Don't be worried if you're underwater $1,000
they're underwater.
Trade.
They're underwater $200 million in a day.
Have a good setup here.
You haven't seen nothing if you're not down $200 million in a day. And by the way, guys, here's the other thing. Binance bought $2 billion worth of Bitcoin at 46,000. They were confident to buy it at 46. How much more confident do you think the whales are to buy at 41? Right? Let me ask you this. If Binance thought for a second that we were going into a bear market, wouldn't they be sitting on their cash reserves? Wouldn't they be sitting on the money that would allow them to fund their business through the bear market so they don't have to lay off employees if the trading volume went down so far that their revenue started to go down? Wouldn't they do that? Wouldn't they be sitting in cash? Wouldn't they be sitting on cash reserves or stable coins for the bear market so they could pay the bills for a year and a half while we might be going into a bear market? Wouldn't they do that? And by the way, if anybody knew, nobody can know if we're going to go into a bear market, but if I'm going to listen to anybody about whether or not we're going to go into a bear market, it's going to be Binance, because they know what they're doing, and they're not stupid, and they're not worth billions and billions of dollars for no reason. They just increased their total portfolio balance to 116,000 Bitcoin. So about 40% of all the Bitcoin that the largest exchange on the planet in cryptocurrency owns, about 40% of it they just bought today. This is a big deal, guys, and it's something that you do not want to miss. Now, also another thing, Eric Adams, this is just kind of a headline. Eric Adams, New York City mayor. Best time to buy Bitcoin is when it dips, he says. Reaffirms his first 3 paychecks will be in Bitcoin. As you guys know, he and Francis Suarez, mayor of Miami, have been going back and forth for the last several months like, we're going to be the crypto capital of the world. No, we're going to be the crypto capital of the world. And I love healthy competition, so I love seeing them go back and forth. It's really funny to see both of them saying, I like Bitcoin more. No, I like Bitcoin more. No, I'm going to take my first 3 paychecks. No, I'm going to take my whole salary. No, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. It's very, very good for the market, and also, by the way, it's good for publicity. Now, one final thing that I will say is the Barclays CEO, which is a massive multinational bank, Dirk Klee, leaves to join Bitcoin Suzy. So this is an interesting trend.
Bitcoin Swiss.
I
I
know how to say it.
You've been hanging out with Tim too long.
Now I can't speak. Bitcoin Swiss, excuse me. So the point here is, guys, and we've seen this happen with the former chair of the Securities and Exchange Commission. This happened recently. He's on the board of a Bitcoin company. There's a lot of people that are in traditional finance that are going towards Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and that's good for 2 reasons. Number one, it means that we're going to have people that understand the way the traditional banking sectors work moving into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, which is a very good thing because it's going to bring expertise into our industry. And number 2, the reason it's important is because these people know how to fight the regulators because they're banks and they've been on the side of the regulators, but now they're flipping sides because they want to be on the side of the crazy ones, the people that are reinventing the way that we do finance. They want to be on the right side of history, to use a massively overly politicized statement. The point is, they know how to fight the regulators, they know how to play their battle, and they know how to protect us if they are joining our side. And there are a lot of very powerful people joining cryptocurrency at this point, and this is just another good example. With that said, if you're enjoying today's stream, and my mispronunciations, I promise, I know how to pronounce it, I just completely messed that up. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you also smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're here to bring you high quality coverage and information about cryptocurrency markets every single day. Technical analysis, fundamental analysis, on-chain. And we also want to teach you how to think, not what to think. And also, make sure to tickle that post notification bell so you'll be updated every time we go live with new content. Let's read some super chats.
Yeah, before we get into super chats, I think we need to touch on something that chat has been asking about a little bit over the last couple of last couple weeks. But it's even kind of come up more, and we've touched on it in for a moment earlier this show and other shows. But I do want to make sure people understand we are not ignoring, if we're looking at the daily chart, we are not ignoring that there is a head and shoulders pattern forming right now on the daily chart. What I want to make sure people understand is technical analysis. In technical analysis, head and shoulders patterns, why people are freaking out about this is most times, more often than not, head and shoulders patterns end up being a predictor that we're about to have a continuation to the downside. Or in reality, because we're really starting that price is coming in, it's actually a reversal indicator. So if you are reading this correctly, Jeb, tell me if these numbers are wrong, but we would be predicting roughly about a $20,000 price action on Bitcoin, correct?
At least.
Okay, so just to make sure everyone knows, technically speaking, a head and shoulders pattern playing us down to $20,000 is for sure in the cards. Caveat, technical analysis is not 100%. If people think that technical analysis is 100%, if people think anything is 100%, they are going to fool themselves. Yep. We've talked about this in the past. Technical analysis is probably more equivalent to like going to Vegas and learning how to count cards while playing blackjack. Yeah. When you can count cards, are you going to win 100% of every single hand? Absolutely not. But you're going to win more often than not, and you're going to be the best guy at the table. Here's another reason why we should not start pissing down our pants. I know that's a crass way, but that's what it seems like people are doing. They're like freaking out. Oh, there's a head and shoulders pattern. We're definitely going down to 20,000. Look at back analysis to see, hey, is there a time when the pattern that was supposed to play out a certain way didn't play out that way? And the good news is you don't got to scroll that far back to see that exact thing. Everything we see between late 2020 and all throughout early 2021, look at that again. We have a head and shoulders pattern. Just so you guys know, right here around these dates of July 11th, 12th, that area, people were screaming, guys, we are about to dump. We're going down to 8,000. We're going to go down far. We're at least going down to 20,000, yada, 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 yada. And guess what?
I said we could go to 24 to be fair.
The price started to fall, right? That was confirming the bears' fear, or not the bears' fear, it's what they were rooting for. It was confirming the fear that people were starting to build because they're like, I'm looking at a head and shoulders pattern, and if it plays out the way it should, it's going to go down this far. What do the institutional whales want to do? They want to get as much of this as they can, so they want to shake people out. So if they can keep a narrative going, if they sense that the sentiment of retail investors is scary, why would they ruin that by saying, guys, no, it's not, trust me, this price is fine? They're just going to let it go ahead and go, and then they're going to shake people out, and they're going to choose this is the bottom. And sure enough, they chose 29,000, 29,500. That's where the whale said, all right, it's time to buy. Let's go back up. And sure enough, we rallied all the way up to 52 before we really had strong levels of resistance. So literally earlier this year, a massive head and shoulders pattern did not play out the way it should. Why? Because whales and institutions still see the value of Bitcoin, and they decided, let's let this narrative play out so that we can scare as many people out as possible. You still got to use your head when using technical analysis. Now, when you combine that with this head and shoulders pattern, let's think through this for just a second. Everything on chain, let's pretend for a second that technical analysis doesn't exist. Everything on chain wise is pointing towards a bullish run for Bitcoin. We're looking at that liquidation versus illiquid phase. That would not allow us to get down to 20,000. But if I turn back on my brain and look at technical analysis, that's where the fear starts setting in. That's where I'm like, oh no, we have a head and shoulders pattern. But once again, let's think through this logically. Let's actually turn our brain on while using technical analysis. We just had, as they talked about, multiple whales. I think there's an article that said it was the third largest whale on record in Bitcoin, purchased $2 billion worth of Bitcoin.
Yep, Binance.
They're not going to do that if we're going down to 20,000. They're going to hold that money and wait. That's a lot of money they would lose. What I'm expecting, just so you guys know, the reason why I called 42 and then even yesterday said there's a chance to go to 39 is 46 was a clean number. It was a clean bottom. What would a person who's trying to shake someone out do? They'd want to go a little lower than that, so we'd freak people out. 42, I think a lot of people kind of put their safety zone at 42, saying, hey, if it goes to 42, we're okay. I was talking about this last night on Twitter with Kelly. I said, it really is right now seeming like a game of tag. In tag, you don't want to be predictable. You're trying to get away from the person. I think there's almost like this phase right now where the whales are kind of playing tag with us, and we think they're about to zig, but when they think that we think they're about to zig, they're about to zag. Oof. Which is why I think 39 actually might be a number where a wick goes. And the reason why is because there's a lot of people confident about 46. Even Binance said, you know what, let's go ahead and invest $2 billion at 46. That confirms to a lot of people. The price drops down to 42. We scared a lot of people, shook a lot of people out, but a lot of people sat there and said, you know what, 42 is a good spot. Let me go ahead and buy here. Wouldn't it make sense that they actually would dip one more time to try to even scare those confident people, get them being fearful and say, no, we're in a bear market now, we're going down. And right as everyone gives up hope, that's when the whales take off and they get as much Bitcoin as possible and the price rallies back up over 60,000.
So here's a question for you. And Tim, actually, I'll pose this as a question to you. In debate, what's more important, what you know or what you don't know? Like, what is more of a threat to you from your opponent? The thing that you know that they're going to say, or the unknown, the thing that you don't know what they're going to say? The unknown, right?
Yeah, as long as you know what they're going to say back, you are in full control.
Exactly. So in weightlifting, what is more important? How much you know you can lift, or the weight that you're not sure you can lift? Like, is 185 more risky when you know you can lift 200, or is 250 more risky when you only know you can lift 200?
Not an unknown PR is more risky.
An unknown PR is more risky. Okay, so in technical analysis, what we know is that there are things that we don't know. Follow me here. The most important part of technical analysis, in the same way with debate and in the same way with lifting, is knowing your limits. The most important thing that you can do with your mindset of technical analysis is to understand when technical analysis breaks down and to understand when it's not going to give you an accurate view on the market. Now, card counting is a good analogy, but when we start talking about statistical probability, it's not actually a perfect analogy because card counting will only make you win 50.5 or 51%. Technical analysis, if you read it right, will give you a 70, 80, 85% win rate if you do it very, very well. You can almost put it like meteorology. It's going to point you in the right direction, but you might not know exactly the path you're going to take. That's another way that you can, that's another analogy you can use. But what's most important in meteorology and in card counting is knowing that 20% or that 49% that you're uncertain of, because you know it's not always going to lead you in the right direction. Let me say this very simply. The most important thing that you can learn about technical analysis are the limitations of technical analysis. You have to know what you can't do as well as what you can do. And in this market, what Bitcoin cannot do with this on-chain and what is very unlikely to do based on the way that the market's moving fundamentally is to go down to $14,000 like this head and shoulders pattern is predicting. What it could do is it could predict we're going to go down a little bit lower, maybe into the mid-30s, which we've said is very possible. So in my opinion, I don't think we have any risk of going down below 30, and I think that a major limitation of the head and shoulders pattern in technical analysis is that on the larger time frames, when we're moving into massive exponential and explosive markets, the price targets get to be a little bit crazy. I've always been very cautious with price targets on things like bull flags, bear flags, head and shoulders patterns, cup and handle formations, triangles, all of those things as you get onto longer term time frames, because their price targets start to get a little bit crazy. If you look at the descending triangle pattern back in last year, excuse me, not last year, in 2018, it had a price target of, let's just see here, let's go onto the log chart or onto the normal chart. It had a price target of at least negative $8,000, so I think you get my point. With that said, let's go ahead and read a couple super chats. We're going to jump straight into Ethereum here.
I told the guys that was
helpful.
I was going to let the Ethereum, I'm going to start with these. Well, I'll time it. Tell me when we have time for 2 left. I want to end with those last
Sounds
two
good.
Ethereum ones. Josh Keith Young said, morning, boys. Kazakhstan political unrest has shut down the internet and affected hash rate for Bitcoin. Do you foresee a large uptick in price when it gets turned back on? More protests this week and supposedly.
So that's a tricky situation. It's also tricky to talk about because I don't want to weigh in on Kazakhstan's political situation because, one, I'm not from Kazakhstan, and two, I don't know about their political situation because that's not the nation I live in. What I will say is this. if it affects the hash rate, we've seen before that a major drop in hash rate can have a big impact on the price. But what we've also seen is that whenever we see a major drop in hash rate that's prolonged, it normally moves the hash rate away from the nation that scared it. So if we do see a massive drop in hash rate coming from Kazakhstan, then a lot of those miners who are in Kazakhstan, the major ones anyway, the major corporations that are mining, are probably going to move a lot of those miners out of Kazakhstan to a nation that is going to be a lot more stable, so they don't have to, struggle with that. The other thing I'll say is I've looked at the hash rate and I haven't seen, I'll look at it again here in just a second. So, but I haven't seen the hash rate drop that much. It's dropped a little bit, but we're not talking a 50% drop like we saw coming out of China. So I do think that this is a story that is probably going to, I think there's probably a 70% chance that this is going to be one of those stories that in a week we're going to have forgotten about. And not that it's a good thing. It's a very sad thing that's going on over there. But as far as the impact on cryptocurrency, I don't think it's going to be that huge. But I do think the FUD from it was one of the things that caused the drop. I think it was the FUD, not the fundamentals. There's a difference.
Yeah. Guns in Crypto said, is the institutional holding of Chainlink the reason why it's holding so well the past month compared to other crypto?
Yeah, you can answer that one.
I want to make a comment on that. So Chainlink here, and this is such a good question that's in a way bizarrely ironic, because so many people throughout the giant gains, when everything's moving, people are like, why isn't Chainlink moving? And then on the flip side, when things are dropping, people are like, oh man, Chainlink is so stable. It's like, so the funny thing about Chainlink is it's probably among the most integrated use case blockchain in all of crypto, because so many different projects use it to be as the oracle for the data that they're gathering, whatever capacity they're doing on their own independent blockchains. And so it's such a widely used project. It is actually in some ways surprising. It doesn't run as far and fast as other things, but the difference is most of these other projects, and we talk about it a lot in comparison with Cardano, in comparison with the rest of the ecosystem in crypto, that Chainlink is not doing a value proposition marketing sale. Their value proposition is integrated and implemented, and so they are going to be a very stable but steady increasing project over time. And with that, and we saw in one of the last bearish dips last year when things were falling, Chainlink was the only thing that was rising. So sometimes you're not going to get the multi, 30, 40x things like you would if you got in on Phantom right when it's at the bottom. But Chainlink's already done that. Now it's going to be a very steady riser, and it will have drops, but it's a long-term play, and it's a very good coin to have in your portfolio because it's not going anywhere. It's not going to. It's so integrated.
Chainlink is my favorite stablecoin.
Yeah.
No, actually, when I started, you guys know about 3 or 4 months ago, I started divesting out of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and more into some altcoins, and I've diversified a little bit. Not much. I like to be pretty centralized in, no pun intended. I like to be pretty focused on what I invest in. Chainlink was actually one of the first ones I invested in because it is so stable, and I really do think that's going to be one of the biggest reasons why it's going to perform very well in the bear market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time for a couple more.
We got time for 2 more.
All right, 2 more. So I'm going to go ahead and, because we're about to transition into Ethereum, ask the 2 Ethereum questions. Again, Murray Ruggiero said, why is ETH falling so much harder than Bitcoin right now?
That's a good
the
question.
fear greed at 15, no real news why we keep falling.
Good question.
Down 40% from all-time highs. Yep. So I'll start with that one. We'll definitely answer that one for you, Murray. The second one, Crypto Sam, I read it earlier, but I want to remind everybody. Are you worried? He said but I think the A got left out. Are you worried about ETH weekly chart and the oscillators?
So let's go ahead and jump onto Ethereum. I'll start with that first question. Why is Ethereum dumping so hard? Very simply, in my opinion, the reason it's dumping this hard is because it didn't. You see how that works? The reason it's dropping so hard is because it didn't when it should have. Ethereum, for most of this correction for the last 2 months, had only been down 26% from all-time high, where Bitcoin had been down 34% from all-time high. Ethereum just had some catching up to do is all it needed. If we look at where it is right now, Ethereum's down 35% from all-time high. Bitcoin is down 39% from all-time high. It actually still hasn't fully caught up, and that's okay, but that's why I think we're dropping like this, is because Ethereum was still holding on to its price a little bit too tightly, and quite frankly, that could continue. If we look here at the Fibonacci retracement, the 0.618 level at 29.35, which is a level I've been talking to you guys about for 2.5 months now, this is a level that that Ethereum could very easily come back down to. And by the way, if it did, that would be so healthy for Ethereum. You have no idea how healthy it would be for Ethereum to come back down to $2,900. You might think, Jeb, why would it going down to $2,900 be a good thing? Here's why. It's the Fibonacci golden pocket, okay? Whenever you see the market rally and then pull back, if it pulls back into the Fibonacci golden pocket and bounces there, that almost certainly means that it is a healthy correction. If you start dipping past or start rallying past 0.618, then oftentimes that means that the trend that was preceding it, the primary trend is going to, or the secondary trend is going to continue. So we're in a secondary downtrend. We don't want the secondary trend to continue. We want the primary trend to continue. If we stay above 0.618, we're probably going to bounce. If we don't, we probably will keep going to the downside. So 0.618 is a very healthy level, but we obviously want to hold it. And also, I do think that it would make sense for Ethereum to go down there because that would be 40% retrace from all-time high, the same way that Bitcoin right now is 40% retrace from all-time high. And as I talked about yesterday, pretty much every single time Bitcoin goes into a retracement in a bull market, it normally retraces 40%. You can look at the retracements that I'm showing you here in 2016 and 17. We almost always see a 35 to 40% correction. I think that it is very healthy that we're seeing a 35 to 40% correction on both of those markets. Now, as far as the weekly chart is concerned, let's look at some oscillators out there. The oscillator that I think he's probably talking about is MACD, for one. MACD is currently sitting in a quite bearish trend. Here's the deal. We were also sitting there back in June and July, and we bounced and we rallied. And the second thing you might be looking at is the RSI. You can see the RSI has now dropped down to 44. Here's something I'll mention on RSI though. If you look at the oscillator on RSI, you actually find that there's some massive bullish RSI divergence going on the weekly chart for Ethereum. So that's not something that I'm concerned about. I actually see this as a very bullish thing. Now, an argument you could make is say, Jeb, you're not supposed to use July as the bottom. You're supposed to use September as the bottom. And if we do, then we have a flat level of support right there at, you guessed it, $2,900, where I said Ethereum could go down to. Then we see a downtrend right here that's even steeper. And you can have bullish RSI divergence with one of them being flat. It's uncommon, but that is technically RSI divergence. So I'm not worried about that. On top of that, if you look at the Lux Oscillator has been red, and it has been red for a little bit, but take a look at when Lux Oscillator is red. It's red when we're in a downtrend. And in fact, it's very, very good at predicting and confirming when we're in a downtrend. Take a look at how powerful Lux Oscillator is right here. If you guys haven't gotten Lux Algo yet, you need to, by the way. You're missing out. If you look at Lux Oscillator, which is a part of the Lux Algo Premium package, it's one of the big parts of my strategy, you can see that the red showed us when we were in a downtrend, right there. The green showed us when we're in an uptrend, right there. The red showed us when we're in a downtrend. Now notice, this red over here was not calling for a massive bear market. This red over here was simply stating the obvious that we are in a downtrend. So, am I concerned about the weekly chart oscillators? Personally, I am not, but Tim, I would love your opinion. Are you bearish or scared of any of the weekly chart oscillators on Ethereum?
No, I'm not. And even going back to even what you were talking about with the Fibonacci, here's a question I have that we need to answer. And so the prediction we had about Ethereum, and one of the key marks we're looking at, in the same way we're looking at Bitcoin to 100,000, we're looking at Cardano to $5, I think. The number for Ethereum was around 7,000. Am I wrong? 77 to 8,
I could see
right?
it going 7 to 8,000, yeah.
So Fibonacci extension, if we're going back to from the all-time high that we set back in May to the bottom price, that Fibonacci extension, if we got to 1.618, would be 77, right? And then what you were talking about is if we take the bottom that we hit here in June, and then we went to the top, the new all-time high that we set here in November, now we're talking about a Fibonacci retracement down to about 28.42, right? 29, 28.42, somewhere in there.
Yeah, 29.
I'm sure our charts aren't 100% identical.
Somewhere around 29.
But it's right there in that region, right?
Yeah.
This is what I'm almost kind of looking at. First of all, from a weekly chart perspective, it doesn't really matter if we hit the 29. This is what I loved about what you said. Austin, or who was Aaron, was on the show the other day.
I think it was
the blockchain.
Aaron was on ATB.
He was talking about he loves looking at these charts because what he's looking at is this stuff happening. He's seeing this bullish RSI divergence on the weekly chart. He's seeing that Fibonacci extension. I don't know if that's what he reads, but I'm saying that's what he would be reading if he was doing technical analysis. And his eyes are on the 77. If you're zoomed in, if you're looking shorter time frames, your eyes are on 29. Long story short, how far are we away from 29 right now? About 2,000? How far are we away from that 7,700? Like 4,000? I right now would be looking as a more bullish person. Could we go down a little bit? Absolutely. But in the same way we had that large whale, I know people in chat don't think it was Binance. Whoever it was, the third largest whale got $2 billion. They looked at 46 and said, you know what? This is a great place to buy. And in hindsight, 46 to 41 or 39 or whatever it ends up being the bottom is very small in comparison to 46 to 100. Or what more, I know Kelly was talking about this last night, realistic expectation for the end of this bull cycle is 200 to 280 or somewhere in that region.
Yeah, I agree.
The difference in the upside versus the difference in the downside is so massively different. These people are looking and saying, if I lose a little bit of money over the next couple of weeks,
who cares?
Who cares? I'm going to make money for the next couple of years.
Yep. And another thing I will mention here, and this is actually the last thing I'm going to say on Ethereum, because Ethereum's, right now, Ethereum's just, it's in a downtrend. It's looking for a bottom. I can give you more if you want, but we want to move on here and talk about more super chats. But there is a sell signal that just flashed on Ethereum on Lux Algo on the weekly chart. And I take that very seriously because Lux Algo normally doesn't lead us astray. We can see the sell signal did come into play right back over here at the beginning of our downtrend over there. But just take note of this, guys, because if you're using Lux Algo, this might freak you out a little bit. Yes, Lux Algo is incredibly good at telling you that you're going into a downtrend, even when those downtrends move into bear markets. But they don't always mean you're going into a bear market. And the other thing to keep in mind here is that as of yet, we have not seen Trendcatcher turn red. We are below it, which is important, but we have not seen Trendcatcher turn red. And so we have not seen Trendcatcher turn red. And the EQ cloud here has also historically provided us support right here on top of it on the weekly chart. So the weekly chart perspective on Ethereum is that, yes, we're in a downtrend. Yes, could we break bearish out of this rising wedge and move sideways? Could we trade sideways for 3 months here on Ethereum? Yes. We could do that. What do the fundamentals say? Again, take it back to the fundamentals because the price is simply a reflection of the fundamentals, guys. Have you ever heard of the term priced in? That's a one-way thing. It's fundamentals priced into the chart. The chart does not price anything into the fundamentals. The fundamentals are the thing that drive the price. So let's look upstream. If there's pollution in a river, do you go downstream to find it? No, you go upstream. It's up there somewhere because the river's flowing only in one direction. Here's the flow of value, guys. The flow of value is going from the fundamentals to the price action. Does the price action say bearish? Yes, it does. It says Ethereum could drop another $200. What do we find upstream? We find the most powerful, decentralized network of computers in the history of mankind that has the largest use case that we have ever seen. Ethereum has the strongest fundamentals of any project in this space, second only to Bitcoin. As far as a use case, other than currency and store value, it is so far away, it's not even funny. Solana, Cardano, Avalanche, all of they don't hold a candle to the amount of development going on Ethereum. It is not even close. So are there bearish things on the weekly chart? Yes. But remember, the price follows the fundamentals, not the other way around. With that said, let's read some super chats.
Yeah. Let's see here. We got one from Latour.
By the way, can I interrupt real quick?
Yeah.
When I get passionate, I'm not trying to talk down to anybody. You guys just know I'm very passionate. If I came off as if I'm talking down to anybody, I did not mean to do that. I don't think I was, but.
Nope, you're muted, so start that over.
Before we get to the super chats, we are only 100 likes away from me revealing
we
the
need to get those 100
destination
likes.
of my
We do need to get those 100
vacation.
likes.
Yeah, everybody, press the like
Smash
button.
the like button.
So I really
Subscribe.
want to talk about my vacation because
Yeah.
it has I have a little narrative to go with it
It's
as
a-
well.
Ooh.
Yeah.
If you want to know where he's going on vacation, make sure to hit that like button.
Hit
You know,
the like button.
And obviously we're going to have some people that don't like this show in chat, but I've seen a lot of comments in chat saying they love this show.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
If you guys love this, subscribe. Like, this is what we have daily. I was going back and forth with a guy who said, I just found you today in my recommended. Is this a normal, daily thing?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We do this
Monday
every
through
single
Friday,
day.
We are here.
Monday to
So-
Friday,
1.5.
9:30 a.m. Eastern.
Oh, we did get 1.5? All right, before Super Chats, we will announce where T-Shroom is going.
Where are you going, T-Shroom?
All right, guys. About 3 or 4 months ago, I met with an Army recruiter and I joined the United States Army. I am a Florida National Guardsman, and I will be in 4 days driving to Jacksonville, and there I will be getting weighed in for the final time, and then I will be shipped. They call it shipped to Army basic training in a destination that probably won't be in my best interest to divulge, but it is a Army basic training. And you might be thinking, but Taylor, you own a lot of crypto, you own a lot of stocks. How are you feeling going in? And I'm not going to be able to access my account for 2 months. How am I feeling? I'm honestly feeling very fine. And even as the price of Ethereum and Bitcoin are dropping, it doesn't really shake me too much. It also helps that I've been writing the Why Bitcoin series because I'm seeing the bedrock of the fundamentals behind why I made the decision to buy Bitcoin in the first place. And it really has buttressed my convictions of why I bought Bitcoin and why I'm in crypto. And really, the only thing that would ever scare me is if the Federal Reserve got in front of the mic and said, hey, we've learned our lesson, guys. We see everybody rushing into crypto. We're going to go ahead and, throw some cold water on this whole fiat currency thing, and we're going to go ahead and back it to gold again. That would be the only thing that would make me question my investment in Bitcoin. So for 2 months, it's going to be a wild ride. I probably won't be wondering too much about my holdings, but it'll be interesting to come back and chat with you all again and see where we are.
So are you going to be gone, or are you going to be here regular? Like, this is a 2-month thing, and then this is a guard thing. So just so you guys know, and guys and gals, he will be back, and he'll be back off. He'll just be in a little better shape, and he'll be giving some service to the country he's a part of. And I can't talk down to that. I'm retired from the U.S. Air Force from my service years ago, so I'm happy to have another vet that's going to be here a part of this.
By the way, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say I'll have a lot more to talk about why I joined in the future, but today we're talking about other stuff. But the primary reason is patriotism.
Let's take this as an opportunity to thank all of our veterans. Thank you very much to all of our veterans of the United States military. You guys keep us safe. You guys are the ones that allow us to do this show in a safe manner. Thank you so very much. You guys sacrifice a whole lot, and I want you to know that we at our team, we thank you very much for that. Anyway, let's read some super chats.
Well,
good job, T-Shroom.
We love you, T-Shroom. We
love you, man.
We're going to be with you the whole time in spirit.
We love you, man.
I'll try to do. I'm going to pick up the task. How many push-ups you do a day? Like every hour you do like 20 push-ups, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, he's been dropping and doing 20 every hour.
I'll start doing 20 push-ups an hour just in memory of T-Shroom.
Oh, okay.
Excellent.
There you go.
With a torn rotator cuff. Yeah.
Yeah, please don't do that, Tim.
I'm getting better. All right.
Good.
Latour has 3 different segment points. Jeb, nice lamp.
Thank you. I like lamp.
Love lamp.
I love lamp.
Kelly, excellent Twitter space last night. Africa Cardano guy got me fired up.
Oh, yeah.
That is absolutely true. That guy, I only got a portion of him, but what I heard, it was phenomenal.
No, he was phenomenal.
I think his name was David,
I'm going
right?
to be reaching back out to him because he had such a good insight being on the ground in Africa about not only Cardano, but a lot of the adoption and implementation of different crypto and how fast it's starting to take off beyond people's expectations. But you can also, Crypto Vet, actually, they recorded it. So if anybody wants to listen, just head over to my
Vet's
Twitter.
in chat, by the way. Shout out to Crypto Vet.
And if anyone doesn't have time to listen to the whole thing because it is long, I think he was because I was in it for about an hour and a half. And I had to dip in the middle of what he's talking. So
I'm
fast forward to about an hour and a half.
time later timestamping it because there's so much we talked about, and the Cardano stuff was excellent. And But.
All right, the last thing Latour wanted, his advice, and I don't think he's saying he's giving it. I think he's asking, how can I buy the dip if I already bought the dip before it dipped? I used Profit's like button.
Okay, so here's the deal. Dollar cost averaging is a good thing to buy the dip. It's also a good thing to exit, by the way. It is. What you can do is whenever you say, okay, the market's going down, here's what I'll do. I'll say, I did this with ADA. I said, if ADA hits $1.20, I'm going to buy a third. If ADA hits $1.10, I'm going to buy another third. If it hits $1, I'm going to buy another third. And when you say that, you got to follow that. You want to, if you're going to say something in trading and you make a plan, you can change the plan, and there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, but generally speaking, unless something has changed from before you made the plan, then you want to stick to that. So what I did, it dropped down to $1.20, never went down to $1.10, so I only bought my third. Now it's at $1.20 again, and I'm thinking, I might buy another third, so I might do that. But the point is, if you don't want to buy the dip all at once. You want to buy the dip and then hold a little bit, and then buy the dip again if it goes down, and then hold a little bit, and then buy the dip if it goes down. It's very important that you always have cash on hand. Whoever it was, I believe it was Binance, but whoever it was that bought 43,000 Bitcoin, I can almost guarantee you they have more cash on side
it was me.
in case it goes down. Oh yeah, it was Kelly. That's right. He learned a very valuable lesson about trading back in 2018, and he's worth $400 billion now because of it. Good job to Kelly. But yeah, make sure that you buy the dip in increments. That's what has been successful for me anyway.
Yeah, Matt C just donated saying, T-Shroom, thank you for your commitment to serve.
Amen. Thank you, T-Shroom.
Yeah.
And I want to address something too. Even Crypto Vet took a little screenshot and sent it to me. He was trying to do a super chat for $50. And I actually used to have this problem when I was on YouTube as well, trying to super chat on certain channels. Sometimes there's issues where it says edit and try again. And I've never been able to figure out why that happens sometimes. But thank you, Crypto Vet, for the attempted $50.
Thank you, Crypto Vet.
Yeah, you're awesome. And
Vet, you're an awesome guy, man.
Where is he located? Where's CryptoVet located?
Don't dox him.
Not like where's his address,
Don't
but like
dox him.
I think
city,
it's
like their
1337. No,
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
no,
1337.
I believe he's in
Northwest
I
Lake
believe he's
Street.
in Texas.
Texas.
But he gets around.
We
He
need to
travels
get.
a bit.
I love getting to hear his voice last night. We need to get him to come to the office and be on the show.
I would love that.
Oh, he'd be
like
down.
here in
Open
person.
invitation
So
for
cool.
you, Mr. Vet.
Yeah, his knowledge of
Hey,
altcoins.
how about
is-
this, Mr. Vet? Because I'm going back to New York, so I actually won't be here at the desk for the next couple weeks because I got to get back to my life, and I live in
Back
New
to
York
your
City.
life and your wife?
My life and my wife. But I will be back at the beginning of February for several weeks, and maybe
join
Vet,
us.
how about you hop on a plane and come down here?
Yeah, come on, Vet.
Yeah.
We've got
Open invitation, my friend.
we've got a bunch of different
Hey, there went this $50 super chat.
There
Thank
we
you,
go.
Vet.
We've got a bunch of different community narratives going on here, but I really appreciate the love I'm getting in the chat,
Yeah.
especially from Lars Patrick, who said that they drug test for shrooms, which is kind of funny.
Oh, failure.
And the irony of that is that they actually don't, if you look into it.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right. All right.
but
Well, I'm
Lars
glad you're
Patrick-
thinking ahead. I'm glad
That
you're
is
using that
funny.
thinking brain.
Lars Patrick, the one that said that, also said that crypto has been a big part of his recovery and staying clean for 4 years.
Wow.
So
Come on.
he dabbled into.
Come on, man. Good for
drugs and
you.
everything,
Good for
but-
you, my friend.
And
That's
Lars, I have to shout out as well. He reached out to me yesterday after I posted I redid the Fear and Greed Index to the Smart Money Index.
Yeah, I like
And he
that.
reached out to me directly, and we are going to work on building an actual oscillator that reconstitutes, instead of it being a fear and greed thing, creating our own metrics that bring in a lot of the on-chain data, social sentiment, all these things. So we might be having something special for you here on
be awesome.
Crypto Jeb that we build for the community.
A hope and patience index.
Hope and Patience Index.
The flip side.
Well, let's
What would
do,
Mom do?
Let's do some a speed round and try to answer
a
as best as possible, but still get through these super chats because we have a lot left. Real quick, the crypto couple who's been a member for 2 months now is a Jedi Youngling. Just said something really funny. The bromance blossoming between T-Shroom and Kelly is so fun to watch. We hope your relationship can withstand the distance.
So
That's really funny.
to address this,
Hey, Kelly's been
Well,
away
guys,
from
we got
his
speed
Kelly's
round.
been away from his wife for like a month,
We got
guys.
speed round.
Oh.
Robert Corey did not give a chat, but he wanted to donate. So thank you so much, Robert. Robbie G said, "How's the beer and greed today?" Obviously,
beer and
he's
greed.
just being funny
Yeah.
and talking about what's the fear and greed. I think are we still around 15 or did it drop?
I'll check, but Fear and Greed's probably around like 10.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna keep going.
By the way, whenever the Fear and Greed is that low, that has historically been a multi-month
18.
bottom. It's
it's
at
18,
18.
so it actually went back up a little
It actually
bit.
went up a little bit. Huh,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I know why, but
it's
Carlos.
still extreme buy.
Yeah, Carlos C. Yeah, still low. Carlos C. said, "What do you guys think of Aave? And do any of you guys own Aave? Would it be a good purchase?" We talked about Aave a
not-
little bit ago, right?
I don't personally. I'm not invested in it. And I don't use it. I've thought about doing it. I think it's a good project, and I think there's nothing wrong with buying a little
Super
bit of it.
solid project.
It's a good. It is a good project. Yeah.
Jimmy Graham said, "Jeb, worried about Kazakhstan. I think they could really impact Bitcoin because of the hash rate. What are your thoughts?" We talked about that a little bit
I think we
earlier.
answered that one, yeah.
Different super chat. So you can. Go
I'm not
back
too
and
worried
answer
about
that,
it. Is
yeah.
is my answer to that?
Desert Crypto East said PulseX is a Richard Hart project along with Hex. Big red flags, in my opinion.
Gotcha. Okay.
I
Cool.
agree.
So we got to look into that. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll look into that.
Yeah. Mark LeHue. Seriously though, is Zelda Inu a thing? It's up 25%.
Nope.
Not in my universe.
I would run.
I would run.
Yeah.
Run for the hills.
Run for the hills.
It ends with Inu. Run away.
If it has Inu in it, run.
It says E.
Oh gosh. Crypto Alchemist.
Yeah.
Crypto Alchemist said drop in Bitcoin price is directly related to Smay's drop in weight. Thanks, Smay. Keep killing it. No,
Let's go,
I mean,
Smay.
Yeah,
Give it up for
Smay's
Smay.
been killing
Smay's doing a
it.
I
great
really
job.
hope it doesn't correlate because Bitcoin's about to explode.
And Smay's
Oh,
still
no.
going to keep losing weight.
Oh no, I'm gonna explode.
Thank you, Crypto Alchemist.
Thank you.
Is that why you bought
Corey,
donuts?
Smay has been
Oh my
killing
gosh,
it.
Kelly.
Smay has been my gym partner for a couple months now. He comes in
doing
every
it.
single day.
He's
to put in
destroying
work.
it.
Got it. I need your guys' help though. Keep him from wearing gloves. He got gloves for Christmas, and I'm trying to tell him that the calluses are part of the rite of
Yeah,
passage
you
to the
gotta
gym.
use those.
Okay, to be fair,
That's
I didn't. My mom. Bought
I
them
know,
for me.
but you
Okay.
say that you're
calluses
gonna
are
wear them, and
important.
I gotta keep you from it.
You know what? I'm gonna.
Corey Ferguson said, "Hey guys, this has been my favorite episode by far in a long time."
Pretty good. It's going to be a good episode.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. You guys, I thought you were talking about something else.
No, I was saying it's been a good
it's been
episode,
great.
yeah.
You all are nailing it for good advice and
Aw,
analysis.
Thank you so much. Appreciate
Crypto
that.
Couple gave again, saying in all seriousness, we appreciate your service, Kelly, and are praying for you, T. Shroom. Okay, appreciate you, Kelly, for your service, and praying for you, T-Shroom. This show brings us so much joy to be a part of. Thank you so much, Crypto
Thank you,
Couple.
man.
Thank you very much.
Crypto Vet said, "Deal. I will come down to Florida soon. Been
Ooh,
so
let's
long
go.
since I had the invite, or been so long on the invite. I need to make it happen. Absolutely,
Do it, man. Come on down.
for sure." Bradley B said, "Joined late, but do you think we will see today's prices in the bear market for major coins like ADA, Solana, AVAX, and etc.? I have no USD now, but have some
Bitcoin
BCH
Cash.
if bear market won't be lower."
Bitcoin Cash is a project that I think is. You didn't ask my opinion on this, but you brought it up. I don't think Bitcoin Cash is a good investment. I think that their idea of changing the block size from 1 megabyte to 8 megabytes and claiming they're the original Bitcoin Cash, I don't like Bitcoin Cash personally. I think it's a terrible project. But what I will say is that we probably won't. I don't know, to be honest with you, on whether we'll see these prices in the bear market. I'd like to say not, because I think we're going to have massive explosions up to like 200K on Bitcoin and $10,000 to $15,000 on Ethereum. So I would be kind of surprised if we saw these prices even at the bottom of the bear market. But that's a really hard thing to tell, because that's like 15 steps down the line. So I
good
can't.
question.
It's a good question. It's not one that I think is even possible to give a confident answer to. though.
If Bitcoin tops at 100K, we will see these prices again. If it
I would
tops
agree
at
with that.
200K, we're going to see prices probably somewhere in the 65 to 70 is the bottom.
Yeah.
If above
That's
let's
still
say-
with a significant little crash.
Yeah,
200 down to 65.
It's too far to project what. So I mean, at the end of the day, and I forget. Somebody did a super chat or a message to me earlier on in here in the chat that we do. It's a good thing to reemphasize for everybody. Now is a great time, as always, to be DCAing, and it really, really is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Smay has his hand.
Smay.
Oh, I have a question for you, Jeb.
Okay.
What? I feel like you, for some reason I have a feeling that you're not going to be here around the 17th of January. What's that about?
You are right. I'm not going to be here around the 17th of January. And that's because we are going to be at the North American Bitcoin Conference down in Miami. Myself, Greg, our sales manager, and a couple other people, including Zach, who is the amazing editor who edited the Coffee and Crypto trailer over on our Twitter. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. We are all going to be at the North American Bitcoin Conference down there with names like Mark Cuban, Francis Suarez, mayor of Miami, Nayib Bukele, the president of El Salvador, and a ton of other people. We've got founders from Tezos, from Ethereum, from Tether, from all kinds of major companies are going to be down there. You are going to be able to meet and hear speak massive industry players at major event center down in Miami. It's going to be about 4,000 people down there. We're going to be down there. This will actually be the first time in the history of the channel that we are going somewhere with the expectation of saying, hey, come here so you can meet myself and some of our team. Tim and Smay are going to stay here and do the show, but I'm going to be down there with some members of our team that you guys don't get to see very often, and I want to meet you guys. So here's what you need to do. You need to click the first link in the description box down below. I believe it's the first link right now. Is it? It is. It's the first link down below. You'll get 20% off your ticket, and go sign up, because it is the longest running, most prestigious, in my opinion, conference in the cryptocurrency industry. Ethereum was launched in its doors about 8 years ago, 6, 7, 8 years ago. It has so much going on. You got panels, you got talks, you got, breakout sessions. There is a lot going on. There's going to be booths, speaking, all kinds of networking opportunities. If you want to meet major industry professionals, Crypto Banter, I think, is going to be there. There's a bunch of names that you know on YouTube that are going to be there. So check the link down below, sign up for your ticket, and hopefully we'll get to see you guys. I'm really looking forward to meeting a bunch of you guys, and this is going to be one of the places that we're going to be. So make sure you sign up. The link is down below.
And we will be going also, that's kind of like the test one. We're going to go into Bitcoin.
We're going to Bitcoin 2022 also.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
that'll be
someone
in
was asking
March.
that in chat
I think it's
earlier.
in March. Yeah.
What's
up?
Another question, Smay?
Oh, I have another question.
April
Wow, this
6th,
is
I think, is the day,
crazy.
actually. I
I have
take
so
that
many
back.
questions today.
Okay.
What's happening? My brain's a little foggy. Something's being uploaded at 6
being uploaded at 6 p.m. today. What is that?
What's being uploaded on 6 p.m. today?
What is that? Oh, that's right. Why Bitcoin episode 2? It's almost like, guys, if you didn't see Why Bitcoin episode 1, you missed out. You need to go back and watch that. That is literally the most highly produced piece of content we have ever put up on the entire show. Fully scripted, fully edited. Smay put like 8 hours into editing that video. T-Shroom put like 40 hours into writing it. It was such an amazing piece of content, and it's one of 6 that are going to be coming out over the next 5 weeks. Today is episode 2. T-Shroom, what is today's episode on?
Today's episode is unlike any episode we have ever done. And it's really important to understand what this episode is even on.
Okay. Do you need help? Do you need help? Okay, guys,
He writes so many of them, he forgets which episode.
Guys, today's episode is the answer to every question you've ever gotten when you try to talk about Bitcoin to somebody. Their follow-up question after you tell them everything about it, they say, well, I can't touch it. That can't be valuable if I can't touch it. We're going to be addressing that concern in this video today. And also, I just want to make it easy on you guys because, you know, maybe you're like, okay, do I need to wait for the announcement every single week when the Bitcoin and the Why Bitcoin episode's coming out? No. Because, guys, it's going to be really easy. Every single Friday for the next 4 weeks now, for the next 4 weeks, every single Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, check out the channel. You're going to see a new episode for Why Bitcoin every single Friday.
Yep.
We're giving you the ammunition and the knowledge that you can just, whether or not you want to reconstitute or reinform yourself on any of these things, wonderful. But more than that, one of the things that's key to the adoption of crypto and Bitcoin is having very easily digestible information that we can share with other people in our family, other people when the stories comes up. Whether you watch these things and get some of that knowledge base to share those talking points, or you just say, "Hey, why don't you just watch this video here and understand what's going on?"
Yep, we're giving you guys ammunition to go out and spread the good word and evangelize on Bitcoin.
Yeah. It's by the way, just a note. This is Tim's video. Tim?
Yeah, Tim actually
I am the guy.
He's actually the guy in the hot seat.
And then also we're talking about it. Who knows? Maybe I'll do a video.
Maybe you will.
No, getting back to it, the price did come back up, but just, in case anyone's not looking at the chart now, we had a wick on Bitcoin drop below that level of support
down to
at
40,500.
So this is something to keep an eye on because the next level down, there's not really that much separating or stopping it. I know some people say 40, but the number actually is 39.6.
Yeah.
To watch for the rest of today, and then if that one breaks, the next one to look for is that 37,200 or so.
Yep, absolutely. Well, guys, that's all we got time for today. If you did enjoy today's show, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the post notification bell. Also, make sure to follow me over on Twitter. I'm about to pass 50,000 followers, and I'm posting over there every single day because I want to help encourage you guys, not just in Bitcoin and technical analysis. I just like sharing my thoughts over there and interacting with you guys. So make sure to go and follow me at CryptoJeb over on Twitter, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. And definitely don't miss out on the North American Bitcoin Conference, guys. We want to meet you down there, and there's going to be a lot of great speaking engagements down there, a lot of great networking opportunities. There's going to be God knows how many 100 millionaires and billionaires down there. There are a lot of industry executives of $100 billion companies that are going to be down there, and you're going to be able to mingle with them. So if you want to meet some power players, this is the place to go. We're not talking about Bitcoin 2022 where there's 40,000 average Joes, and then there's some of the really big power players. A lot of the people here, there's 4,000 people going. A lot of the people going are major industry power players. So you are going to be brushing shoulders with some very, very, very successful people, and you're going to hear some great talks down there. Even if you don't go to meet us, you should go just because it's going to be a good conference. Nevertheless, the link for that is down below. You can get 20% off. Before I go, though, guys, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.